Yes, I've got labeled here at the top of this, the Top Gun, Kenny Loggins song, The Danger Zone. So you can thank me later for this being stuck in your head through this one. But it's a a real situation. Trying to make light of the topic, but it's really not. So maybe every time that you go to hang a tree stand, and you start to do some hinge cutting or make habitat pockets, maybe you'll hear Kenny Loggins in the back of your head, singing that, or Top Gun will come to your Top Gun's gonna come to your radar. All joking aside, I really hope it does, because it's something that I see time and time and time again. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll hit 80 clients this year, guys. 64 clients last year. And I'm gonna venture to guess that probably 85%, 90% of the clients that I go on get themselves in trouble with this. And why is that? I think what it is it's a coached, or it's a mentality that's been kind of a tool, if you will, that's been implemented. It's been brought to the surface by consultants, encouraging this, and then clients implementing it. So all joking aside, I feel for the folks that haven't experienced the right way of doing this, because this will haunt you at some point during the process of habitat improvements, if it hasn't already. So I'm going to try to help you take that out of the equation so that does not happen to you. Because like I said, folks, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but this danger zone I'm speaking of is going to haunt you at some point if you don't take the proper precautions to make it not happen. So what I'm going to do, guys, we're going to flip this around onto the board here. I'm going to do some chatting tonight on this video about just that, the danger zone, and hinge cutting too close to your tree stands. It seems maybe some of you are going to kind of shake your head like, why in the world would you do that? But I'm here to tell you, it happens a lot. I'll have clients send me photos of their stand locations, and at first I kind of have to watch that, but as I get to know a client, I'll say, hey, what's that thing in the middle of the screen? Well, what do you mean? I say, that's a hinge cut. How in the world did you pick that out? Well, trust me, I can pick them out from hundreds of yards away, because I'm trying to help you not get busted. So like I said, you might get into a stand today, you might get into a stand tomorrow, sooner or later. And the sad part of it, guys, it only takes one tree sometimes. You're going to walk into your stand, you're going to blow a giant out, and or a doe, and that's just mouthy and blows the whole farm out before you even get started. It happens to the best of us. It's happened to me. It's happened not on a hinge cut, because a promoted hinge cut by me, but a top or something like that where they just bed up on it. Now, we're trying to eliminate that, right? We don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to talk about how to avoid that situation. All right, guys, we're going to talk on just that, the danger zone. You can see at the top of the screen here. It's kind of a joke, but it's not. The Top Gun, Kenny Loggins. Yeah, so like I said, you can thank me later, because this song's going to be stuck in your head. And like I said, all joking aside, but I hope it is every time that you approach a habitat improvement or stand location, and think about this. So hopefully it keeps everybody away from this situation. So the number one topic that we're going to talk about here, guys, is just that. No hinge cutting near your tree stands, your access or your exits is the whole danger zone, spectrum here, if you will, the whole situation. We're going to start right here with the stand location, your access into a stand location, with the line of travel out in front of you, the transition. Where folks make their mistake is right in here initially. They are, to promote this line of travel, they are obviously a lot of folks think that a hinged line of travel stands out a lot better than, just a bunch of kill cut trees. And that's the truth. It does, because the hinge is at deer, head, at deer head height. And as I'm talking here, I'm going to reach over and grab the pen here, is because we can touch on that, just that topic here. But yes, it does stand out. But what happens is, guys, is it's going to get you in trouble, because that top is going to create, or does create, potential for bedding. So what we want to do is, so the rule of thumb I like to use is 75 yards. So 75 yards from your stand. Obviously you can see this is your access, your property line. So there's no hinge cutting, obviously, on any of this, or not only hinge cutting, guys, but any promotion of bedding on this line that you're accessing on to get to the stand, right? Your property lines. So then we're turning and we're coming into a stand location. What we want to do is we want to make sure that there's no hinge cutting along that line as well, helping us get into the stand. Once we're in the stand is where trying to get into the stand is where the problem arises a lot of the times, is because we want this line of travel to stand out. Folks are hinge cutting it, like I'm saying, and what happens is, guys, it puts bedding too close to your stand. Now, this could be 50-yard circle. This is what I refer to as the danger zone. Is it 50 yards? Is it 75 yards? Is it 100 yards? You know better than I do. In that situation, my clients know, because we design this, and we put this all together so they don't get themselves into trouble, and we drive that home. So as you cut this out in here, you're going to have some debris on the ground from the trees, but these trees in here are going to be obviously kill cut, like we talked on the last video there, 90 degrees perpendicular to the line of travel. And then you can take the bedding of the tops out on this side right through here, so you don't have that potential, so you can get into the stand. And there's no, in this 50-yard rim, 75-yard rim, 100-yard, whatever this is around the stand location, guys, that is where there's no hinge cutting to be done. So where can we hinge cut? Where can we hinge cut? Pick up hinge cutting, and that is when we slide down the transition into something such as these pockets here that we create. You're hunting this stand obviously on let's say it's a north wind coming across the line of travel, hitting your stand location and going back out to the property line. We're building these habitat pockets on the north side of this line of travel. So the buck, as he's cruising down through here, this wind, it's setting him up so the wind is right for him. As he's going east, that that north wind is hitting him on the side of the face. He's continuing down through here, getting the information from the licking branch, cruising down, and down here you can see we have another one, a potential for another one. So there is going to be a spot that you could potentially hinge cut on the transition to promote that line of travel, to really make it stand out. And I'm all about that, just not at the just not at the stand location. So you can hinge cut out of these pockets, guys, if you're a hinge cut candidate, and keep this in mind. It doesn't fit for everybody, right? But there is a great need for it when you've got pole timber and canopy, that's 40, 60 feet in the air. And this is where the hinge cutting side of it comes into play. So there is spots along this transition where you can do this hinge cutting and really define this line of travel. Now, this line of travel on your main transition might be mulched. It might be 20 feet wide. That's to be determined. The taller the canopy, the wider the transition is how we cut those out, right? So obviously the taller the canopy is through here, the more mature that this line of travel is, the more debris you're going to have on the ground, more emphasis you have to put on making this so you can get in and out of that stand without getting busted. So that's the first example. No hinge cutting near the tree stands, right? So the danger zone is just that. You have to treat that way so you can get in and out of these stand locations. A couple scenarios here we're going to talk about, guys, is this. So this situation here that I'm showing you is what I see a lot of. This is a very, very common setup, and the reason for that is I think there's some promoting of this way of hunting out there, as far as through consulting and stuff that happens. But this situation happens all the time. I see this all the time, whether it's a landowner just trying to get in the right spot where all the action is, and not thinking about what they've created back behind them. So stand location, maybe the access was correct off either, you know, at some point, obviously in from the fence row, getting into a stand location here and having your wind blow, you know, either one of these, whether you're hunting on a north wind or a northeast wind, something like that. Problem with these guys is you have to watch. If you're setting yourself up on pockets here that you went in and hinge cut these, you know, like we always talk, you know, a lot of folks go in and are buck mentality related, right? So we're going in and building internal pockets to make the inside of the farm correct, and these are going to get overrun by the does if your doe bedding area isn't, you know, handled first. So they want to start here anyways, and what happens is we're making a pinch, you know, a trail system, corridor, transition, whatever you label that. This would be a corridor to me because it's relating to bedding, but it creates a great funnel, right? Creates a great pinch point. The problem is they hang a stand on the bottom of it here, catching that movement. Now they forgot that there's food plot down here. There's doe bedding that you're blowing your scent into over here. This is I run into this multiple times this year, multiple times last year. Put doe bedding here, or put a food plot here, and we want to enhance doe bedding all the way around it because, you know, you have to enhance every square inch of your property, right? Wrong. And so what happens is the doe bedding gets out here. Now in order to get past the doe bedding, you know, this is what people, this huge slogan right here that we'll go into someday on a different video, but edge feathering, right? The edge feathering. Well, they go up, do high hinge cuts right here, and hinge cut all this down, and guess what? It's right on the line of travel. Guess where the deer end up bedding before when you get out of the truck and you come in here, you're blowing deer out of here. This is a danger zone. It's not just at the stand location, it's where you're getting in and off the farm. This scenario here, like I said, guys, happens all the time. Now, what I do see sometimes is this scenario here is where folks understand, okay, the line of travel we promoted, or they find the line of travel and they get out to the outside, and this is very common. Accessing in, the wind is right, they're playing the game properly, right? Get into the stand and really want to enhance this line of travel in here with all of these trees tipped to the outside, but they hinge cut this area in here to really make it pop, really make it stand out. And what happens is, like I said, it might not happen today, might not happen tomorrow. Sooner or later, you're going to go and get in this stand right here, guys, and something is going to be bedded too close to this stand and blows it out. And so, you know, like I was saying before, guys, it's might not happen, or, you know, happen now, might not happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen at some point. The theory is folks want to hinge cut. You know, you got the deer, you know, you got your ground level, you got your deer head here. Folks think that they, you know, want to hinge cut the tree here at this level, you know, and because if you hinge cut this tree down here, right, I mean, it promotes a great, it promotes that, you know, that makes that line of travel really stand out, I guess is what I'm saying here, guys. So you hinge cut this down. Now the line of travel is through here, right, and it's at their head level. It really secures them in. That's the truth. That's why we hinge cut along, you know, whether this is a transition or whether that's a corridor. That is true. Problem with it is you put this too close to the tree stand, and you're gonna get into trouble. So what we do is, in these situations, this can happen anywhere outside of the danger zone. So we'll find an open spot here, over here. What you need to do at the stand locations, what you need to do is you need to the ground level, and we need to hinge cut, or we need to kill cut these trees out here. Sorry about the illustration, but here we need to put them on the ground here and put them down so the deer head is up here, and there's less likely to use these tops and debris for bedding. And then what we can do is we can go through, run a chainsaw through here, lop these down, so when it snows, it crushes all of this debris flat in here. Run a saw blade through here every 2 to 4 foot. It snows, crushes them down, and now we don't have we have this that we're sending deer through with regeneration up through here, and we don't have this in front of the stand where deer are bedding in these tops right underneath the tree stand. So that's a very common one that I see there, guys, and that's one that we need to try to cure together. So this one here is, I've got the slogan on here, the right way A+, if you will. This is kind of an idea and a design how we need to structure these properties going forward, and try to really emphasis on how to put these together and really go about being able to keep in mind where the hinge cuts are and the job for the hinge cuts, so they obviously don't get us into trouble. So our access into our stands is clear. This is this rim that we talk of. This is where you want your TSI, guys, all the way around the property. You don't want the habitat. You want less habitat out here on the edges, so you can get in and out of these tree stand locations. And then, like what we're doing here, we're putting these pockets between the stand locations or your food plots and the does. But the whole goal is keeping in mind that this area, especially all the way around here, 75 yards around these stands, 75 yards, 100 yards, whatever that case is, 50 yards. Now, if there's a hill right here, guys, obviously, and you're in here, these can be brought closer. But if not, rule of thumb, 75 yards. And what we do is, every one of these stands has a danger zone around it, right? And if we treat these as that danger zone, and we make sure that nothing is promoted and hinge cut around there, now you can see it starts to really take shape as far as where the habitat improvements need to happen, so we can get, like we said, in and out of the farm. So I get this question a lot too, this TSI area, in other words, the timber standard improvement all the way around this rim here. This is where you want less habitat, right, like we said. So the question is, okay, what do we do in those locations as far as the tree work? Well, I'd rather see you never cut trees out of this portion than select cut this down so the stem count really grows in here and the habitat gets correct. And then at year 3 to 7 through here, this is all woolly in here, and then it becomes a food source. I'd rather see you manage this for 20-inch trees and above, something like that, big beautiful park setting all the way around here. And so that is the myth buster, if you will, about the whole property does not have to be habitat correct. It has to be habitat correct in the areas that so we can get in and out of the stands, and it has to be habitat correct so the the critters can move about and we can be successful on the lines of travel that we are promoting. These areas are not the areas that you want to promote. You want this bypassing deer movement through here. We're hunting this movement through here, left and right. We're hunting this movement out to these bedding locations here. So with that said, guys, this is down here, the ending note here is, how do you go internal? And as you can see, each one of these has a buck bedding pocket kind of out the end of it, is that I try to promote back out to the point of impacts, right? Your stand locations, your licking branches. The only time that I'll go in here is obviously you leave one of those out. You can see there's not a corridor out to a buck bedding pocket here on this one, because this is a rut stand. If we go internal here, we build these two pockets in here with hinge cuts. We get on the other side of maybe a water source or a big creek shelf, a drainage or something like that, blow the wind back over top of it, pond here. But we aren't we are still treating this as a danger zone around here, so these pockets and or hinge cuttings don't start right at the stand. Sadly, too many times what I see is, we build 1 or 2 or even 3 of these, and it is, look at the funnel that it creates, right? It's a great spot to hang. You have to remember, you've got to be able to get into that spot, and you have to be able to get out of that spot. This, obviously, like we said, is a rut stand only. I wouldn't attempt this early season. Probably not even late season, just a couple week window that stand location will work. But this is the scenario that it could work just remember these pockets can't be hinge cut, or this line of travel cannot be hinge cut too close to that stand location. You have to give yourself a buffer, guys. You have to understand that there is a point of no return, and that all hinges, like I said, no pun intended, on the danger zone.